What's up, everybody? It's Bobby back with another episode of my basement. Today, I really just wanted to get right into it. We're going to talk about Daniel Naroditsky, talk about whatever else is on my mind, whatever thing I want to emotionally dump. uh, man, yesterday I saw the news of Daniel Naroditsky, who, if you don't know, is or he was a 29-year-old chess grandmaster and YouTuber and commentator who suddenly passed in his home in Charlotte, North Carolina. And gee, I mean, the news was it was legitimately pretty horrible. I couldn't quite believe it. Uh, when I first saw it, it was from the no, it was the St. Louis Chess Club. They had a video saying Daniel, the title, 3 minutes. The title is Daniel Naroditsky, 1995 to 2025. And I thought in my head, what a strange title. They're making it seem like this guy died. Like that's fucking horrible. And then I click and I realize, no fucking way this guy really did. He's dead. And it sucks. Like the night before, I was watching his most recent YouTube video. And the night before that, I was watching his final stream, and I didn't even realize it. I stopped watching the stream before things really took a turn for the worse. If anybody has seen that stream or is interested in watching that stream, he after a certain point, like an hour and a half in, he starts to just get somewhat belligerent. It seems like he's on some sort of drugs. I didn't know what was going on really. He was constantly like nodding off, but I mean it was hard to watch. I don't necessarily recommend the watch. It's somewhat morbid, especially considering that the guy passed. But man, I was really broken up about it yesterday, and even woke up today thinking about it. It's just uh, it's horrible. He was a really great guy, I think, at least for the his online influence. And he definitely helped me improve at chess. And he was just somebody that, like, many times throughout the last couple of years, I would be sitting there late at night, kind of just wanting to do something, but not really, before I just made myself go to bed. And I would turn on his stream and just watch 10, 15, 20 minutes of chess, blitz chess, and it was always exciting and inspiring to play chess myself. Uh, yeah, it's really sad. And not to mention, again, for people who don't know, there's a whole sort of drama potentially in the chess community around this, where for the last year, an ex-world champion of chess, Vladimir Kramnik, has openly and publicly accused Daniel Naroditsky of cheating at chess and using examples from, different shitty examples. And the reality is, from what I could tell, the majority of people weren't like on that side. They weren't thinking Daniel Naroditsky's a cheater. It wasn't like the Hans Niemann, if you guys are familiar with that. It wasn't like the Hans Niemann case where, hey, if Magnus calls this guy a cheater, there's a really good chance. And if Magnus won't play this guy, I mean, he could be really cheating. This was different. This was like, oh, there goes Kramnik accusing Daniel again. But throughout the months following the accusations and like with continued pressure and accusations from Kramnik and others, it was very clear that Daniel is not taking it well, to say the least. He was not handling the situation well emotionally. And it I think it's a very sad situation. I think it's not necessarily my place to speculate how much that was related to his passing. But I can say that some of the last things he said in his last stream was referencing the cheating scandals and saying how people don't believe, like when he loses Elo now, they think he's an incompetent player, uh, and so he has to keep playing to gain more Elo. Like it became this sort of complex in him. It appeared to me, whether or not that was like a direct result or just a contributing factor, I'm not sure, but I would say it definitely seemed to play a role. Not to mention Kramnik's been, I don't know, inflammatory in the recent days since the passing was announced. uh, it's just a horrible situation, and it really like the death of a young person like that, especially, I was talking to myself and wondering like, why was this so hard to hear? Like, I didn't even realize how much I cared about Daniel Naroditsky, I guess. But I think the reality is it's hard to see somebody struggling as you see him decline over the last couple of months. He's struggling and he's having a hard time, and you clearly see that the pressure from different circumstances in his personal life were getting to him, and then to see this result, this conclusion, it's definitely not a pretty picture. Uh, and now, of course, uh, I'm not going to say what I'm about to say to defend Kramnik at all, because I don't believe he deserves defending in this. But I'm just going to say, because it's what's true to me. Daniel Naroditsky clearly suffered from mental health issues as a result of many things, probably, but he was having mental health issues leading up to his passing. And people think that it was partially contributed by Kramnik's online harassment and bullying. But now, after he's died, people are reaching out to Kramnik and saying, "You're a piece of shit. Die. Fuck you." Even Hikaru, and I don't blame Hikaru for this at all, but even Hikaru said, uh, "Rotten hell." And to me, it feels like we're fighting this fire with fire. It's a cycle that just repeats. It's a toxic cycle. We gotta drop it. The death of Daniel Naroditsky needs to say to everybody, okay, we need to reset and be kinder to each other. Not, okay, let's fucking let's turn on this guy. Let's attack the hell out of him because he deserves it. It's not necessarily the right way to handle this. It feels like we're going right back down the same circle. And not to mention, Kramnik also is a mentally ill person. That's why he did these accusations against Daniel. Everybody in the know knows that. Does that mean to excuse his cruelty and his abuses? No. But to then attack somebody like this who's mentally ill, I don't know. The whole thing feels horrible and toxic. And chess community doesn't need to be that way. It really doesn't. I'm not necessarily a part of it, but I consider myself somewhat. I mean, I am a part of it in the respect that I play chess all the time and I follow it. Um, it's it's just sad to see. And of course, I was a fan of Daniel Naroditsky. I mean, I was clear about that up front. It's horrible. I wanted to get some thoughts across about that, and also just say I don't think we should, start hating on Kramnik even harder and saying that he caused this guy's death. He may have contributed to it for sure, um, but what caused Danya's death ultimately, although we don't really know, but if the theory is to be believed that Kramnik's bullying caused this, it's really his mental health, because the bullying, in a large respect, should not have caused the death of a seemingly healthy 29-year-old. And now it's not time to turn that and now bully Kramnik into the same type of fate. Not to say that he would, but it's just not what needs to happen. A war does not need to continue now. It can end, and we can take the time to heal each other. Yeah, definitely not a fun topic, but it's one that I wanted to get off my chest and just talk to y'all about because it's a sad situation. Uh, and we still don't really know the cause of death, but it's seeming to me like some sort. I shouldn't even speculate. Never mind. But yeah, it's a horrible situation. Uh, well, let's shift gears here. It's hard to shift gears after something like this because uh, there's no conclusion. The guy died. He's never coming back. It was a sudden passing of a young man who had so much, who had already given so much to the world and had so much more to give. And ultimately, I don't know all that much about the specifics of it, and I don't think many people do. I think there's very few people who know a lot right now, and those people are choosing to keep it private. And if they're choosing to keep it private, it seems to me that that is likely the responsible decision. Uh, so I hope they can find peace and the world can heal. It's a very painful world out there these days, and we can we don't have to be at each other's throats constantly and distrusting of one another and hating one another, but that's those are things that have been the case for mm, generations, and it's even happening now on the internet between chess nerds, which I will say I think there's definitely something to the psychology of somebody who sits there and plays chess for, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours from the ages of like 5 years old, which all these guys did. In a morbid way, I would even like for them to study Danya's brain, which I know will not likely not happen. But it would be another tremendous gift that he could give to this world, so we could see uh, what the effects are on a young person's brain from the life that he led. I mean, serious concentration and calculation over a long period of time. Maybe lesser physical and social interaction, physical exercise and social interaction than as maybe normally prescribed as well. And that's not to denigrate Daniel Naroditsky. It's just a reality of obsessed chess players. Yeah, so rest in peace, Daniel Naroditsky, and may the community heal, and may the world take this as a sign to do better. Okay, switching gears. I was listening to somebody, I think it was one of my longtime favorite. He was a journalist in Counter Strike. This guy, I think he's a bisexual man, Richard Lewis. He's from England, I think. And I was listening to some of him talking about the Riyadh Comedy Festival, and I'm fascinated by comedians. I think stand-up comedy is just an incredible art form, and he was so heavily criticizing a lot of these guys for taking the money, and also lauding guys like Shane Gillis for not taking the money. And I know this has been heavily covered, but I just come here and give my thoughts. It's very complex, and I know people are gonna say, "No, it's not, dude. These people are horrible government, horrible regime. They kill people. They hate gay people. They hate women." Yeah, I hear that. On the other hand, Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, and Louis C.K. or um, fuck, what's that guy's name? Who He dated Ariana Grande. Pete Davidson. I almost want to call him Dave Peterson, but that's probably a different guy. Pete Davidson also. All accepting this. If people want to say, oh, what, you need more money? You need more sneakers? You need more houses? You need the. Listen, dude. I'm not in the business of counting other people's pockets, man. If you or watching people's pockets or counting their money, to be clear, if you uh, are a comedian who was broke for the longest time, you're broke forever. I mean, Bill Burr only started making real money what in his 40s. I'm not saying that it's a decision that I would make to go and accept that Riyadh money, that dirty money, but I also don't feel as somebody who's never been in their shoes, I can necessarily blame them for doing their art, what they're doing their job for somebody who you wouldn't like. I mean, let's say for example, this can be a weird analogy, but let's just say you were you know, a carpenter or somebody who ran a construction company and then somebody, I don't know, like uh the leader of the Ku Klux Klan comes to you, and he's got some money all of a sudden because they've been really selling the wizard kits well, and he says, "I want you to build me a 3-story house right here in fucking Birmingham." Is it incumbent upon that carpenter to say no? I stand on principle. Now, let's say that carpenter. I mean, this is gonna just get like a ridiculous now. Let's say that carpenter was, I don't know, a gay man. And he knows that this guy hates gays and wants gays to be killed and all that shit and their abominations and whatever. And he says, you know what? This guy hates me. He doesn't know I'm gay. And he would hate me and would not allow me to build his house if he knew. Even though I guess Saudi knows if people are gay and all this shit. But I'm going to take that fucking money. I'm going to take that money. And I'm going to put it in my pocket. And I'm going to say, I have enriched myself off of this guy's work. He is still servicing and building that guy's house and he's doing something for that guy that guy wanted, the leader of the Ku Klux Klan? Is it right or is it wrong? I don't know. I don't think it's as easy as people make it seem, though. And to be fair, guys like Shane Gillis, or even there's a popular League of Legends streamer that I enjoy his content once in a while, I Will Dominate, also refused money to appear in EWC. I, you know, respect those people making that decision. They say, I've got enough money, I don't need any more, and I definitely don't need any more from these actors, these guys who have done bad things. It's a respectable decision. However, what if you said, I don't need any more money? If you say you're Dave Chappelle, I don't need more money. I've got millions, maybe hundreds of $1 million in the bank or in net worth. However, and I'm Dave Chappelle, so literally I can never go broke. There's no way it's possible. I would just always get money because I'm Dave Chappelle. Uh, how? What if he says though? You know, it would be nice though. They're offering me $25 million to do an hour. That would set up, guaranteed set up, generations and generations and generations of my family. And yes, it's coming from these evil people who seemingly have infinite money printing ability from oil, but you know, who knows? To me, it just seems like it's. I'm just saying. I'm not even trying to defend either side. I'm not trying to do anything like that. It just seems to me like you could make the decision one way or another, and it's really not necessarily bad. If you're saying, I'm taking that money not to help them, but to help me. And in some ways, you might help them because you can help sell tickets or all that. But let's be fucking real. If you're in the social class of Saudi people who are able and allowed to go to the Riyadh Comedy Festival, you're going, no matter what. You're not gonna say, "Oh, they got Dave Chappelle. Okay, I'll go." Oh, they don't. He pulled off the card. Just Louis C.K. and all that. Yeah, that's not a good enough lineup for me. Sorry, Crown Prince, who fucking runs every. Sorry, I'm not gonna show up to your event. Please. They're gonna show up. They're gonna enjoy it. You could put up a bunch of amateur open micers, and they're gonna go, ah! They're all gonna die laughing because it's just what you do. It's what you're gonna do. And so, if Dave Chappelle knows that, Dave Chappelle makes this calculation and says, "Damn, an extra 25 mil. My son could never go broke, and neither could his children at that point because we'll have so much wealth, and it all came off of my back." It's not like he came from super wealthy family. I'm sure he came. Yeah, I think he was like middle class. But now he's super wealthy, and his family will forever be super wealthy. Not to mention, Dave Chappelle is a black man. Not a ton of generational wealth amongst minority populations. Is it so bad to ensure that your lineage, for the rest of time, barring them absolutely messing it up and throwing away all the money, is set up forever and ever because of your work, because of the money that you accrued during your lifetime? I don't know. Like I said, to me, it's just not so simple. And I wish that people would think of it in a little bit more of a fair context. But I also totally get the idea that these are horrible people that you're taking money from. And you want to do that. Is it right to do that? Especially the way they're getting their money. I mean, there's a bunch of slavery over there. There's a bunch of problems. But truth be told, man, like, I think that this Republican Party in our country is a little effing crazy at times. I mean, just our government in general, but like our current one, let's just say they have a lot of um, views that might be, less than palatable 20 years from now. Uh, if any of these, I mean, maybe it's not necessarily true, but if the White House said, we're doing a UFC show, which actually I might be interested in talking about next, but if we're doing a UFC show, let's also talk about, or sorry, let's also have a comedy show, a comedy festival on the White House lawn. There's a lot of comedians, regardless of their beliefs, that would do that. And honestly, I think it would be cool in a way. I think that, okay, well, one last point on this, we'll wrap it up, and I want to talk about the UFC thing a little bit. Maybe just talk about the UFC. But regardless, last point on this. There's also clauses in their contract where there's content restrictions. You can't say certain things, you can't criticize certain things about their government, you can't criticize certain things about their culture, X, Y, Z. Now, if you're a comic, you've been dealing with that your whole career. You go to a corporate event and they hire a stand-up. They're not going to want you to go up there every time and do your club material. A lot of times, I think a lot of people don't understand this about stand-up comedy specifically, is a lot of comedians will have to foster multiple different sets. Back in the day, when late night television was a big way to promote your comedy, stand-ups the whole craze was that people would do they would build and craft a 5-minute television set, which would mean there's no curse words, it's clean, you could put it on late night television, and that's how you would churn your career. that isn't necessarily the comedy that they wanted to do at all times. Maybe they want to do more vulgar comedy stuff, material. But they decided, you know what, to advance my career, to further down this path that I'm attempting to go down, we're going to do it this way. Okay. In saying this, it's nothing new for comedians to clean up their act, literally. So, uh, to say that, wow, they have to go there and they can't even talk about these certain things, I guarantee you some of these comics have done corporate events or television events, or even some of them maybe retirement homes or different things where you just can't talk about certain things. Even some of them have probably done like USO tours where they've gone over and done stand up for troops overseas. Uh, you can't go over there and necessarily do anything as far as I know. But anyways, final thoughts wrapping up this subject. It's a little more complex than I think people want to give it credit for, and I don't agree with people's decision to go get that money, but I also can't slam comics for going to do it because it's an enormous amount of money, life-changing for your whole family line, and you have to calculate these things. It's not as easy as just saying, "No, I don't like you because you're a bad guy, so I'm not going to take your money." We live in a capitalist society, dude. If you said I'm not going to take your money to everybody who's done immoral things, then you'd never take any money. And that's the reality of it. Okay, speaking of taking money from people who have done lots of bad things, the UFC and Dana White. Power slap your wife. Um, Dana White is good friends with Trump. Trump's been to a lot of UFC events, and now the UFC is doing an event on the White House lawn, and I, as a big fight fan, am excited about it. Do I think it's good optics for our country? No, I don't think so at all. I think it shows like a really weird side of our entertainment centric society. We look almost like the Hunger Games in real life. Like it's so crazy. Uh, but there's something to me that's so exciting, almost like alluring, uh, and sexy about it, that we are going into this postmodern, late stage capitalist phase of extravagant indulgence, having a, a fight card, a whole fight card at our nation's, I guess like the home of the the chief of our country and our nation's capital. It's incredible. Uh, I think I even heard them talking about how they're going to do some promotional material, or maybe even have like the analyst desk or whatever at like the Lincoln Monument or some shit. Like it is wild, and I love it. And by the way, for people who aren't familiar, the announcer for the UFC, the guy who comes in and says the fighters' names, it is time. That guy, Bruce Buffer, he's gonna dress up like a Hunger Games announcer. He always does, and I'm positive for this that he's going to as well. And everybody around the world is gonna want to watch this thing, man. Everybody, unless you're, one of these morally, but it is gonna be incredible. I don't know who's going to be fighting on it, of course. I have no express knowledge in that regard. But just the idea of it is crazy, dude. It's insane. And I think it's not necessarily getting enough credit for being like so wild. It really feels like the Hunger Games is happening. And maybe we're not that far away from that, man. Maybe not people killing each other, but like imagine, I don't know, some sort of Survivor type TV show that happens in live time that we all watch. Who the hell knows? Maybe that's the future of reality television. But this would be some of the craziest reality TV ever. Watching dudes knock each other the hell out in front of the world and our country on our White House lawn. It is it's just it's a beautiful thing in like a really perverse way.
if that makes sense. It's it makes you it's like deliciously wrong. It feels that way to me, and maybe not to anybody else. Like I've always been, I grew up around martial arts, and I love UFC and all this stuff. And my dad introduced me to all this shit at a young age. Um, so I've always followed the sport, and it's even, I believe it's somewhat more than a sport. It's fighting, uh, but it's to see it grow to the point where, I mean, some of these dudes are still today making 10 and 10, which means, if people don't know, that means $10,000 to show up and then $10,000 to win. And you fight 3 times a year maximum usually. Uh, and so you're gonna make, 30 grand, best case scenario, coming into the UFC after having fist fights in front of the world against dangerous men. Like people think about a fist fight like, oh, I can win a fist fight. Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, I could whoop that dude's ass. What if that dude has been training for the last 10 years to kill people in hand-to-hand combat? How easy is it to kill that guy and fight that guy? How easy is it for you to approach doing that? Strategically approach it? Not easy. You have to have some serious skills in your own right. And these guys who do fight MMA are different mentally. They really, truly are. And people, they are not. This is how I view it. Baseball and basketball players, they're different uh, than each other mentally, but they are strictly athletes. They almost similar to like chess players, honestly. Now, chess players don't have to do the weight training and all this different testosterone and masculinity type shit. So it's different. But basketball and baseball, they're really playing a game. They're playing a sport and they're playing a game. You go, you hit the ball. There's not much threat on your life most of the time. It's not like people are trying to hurt you. Then you get football, American football. Of course, I'm only talking about the major American sports and not hockey because I don't know anything about hockey. But then you get football, and I believe this bridges the gap between baseball, basketball, and UFC. It is This is the game that has real violence in it. You see these ex NFL players, and they have legitimate PTSD. Not like people talk about CTE in NFL players, talk about PTSD in these NFL players. Even guys like Ocho Cinco and Shannon Sharp, like you can see it when they talk, you can hear it when they talk about different memories, and they love it. But there is some serious stress that was going on at that time where people, when you catch that ball, some guys are trying to knock you the hell out of the game, but knock you out unconscious. That's different. And these are dudes who are on steroids. Everybody in the NFL is has been on steroids for a long time, and it's just these are they're hurting you. And then take it to that next level. There's no game. We're just hurting each other. I mean, it is crazy. And of course, boxing's been around for a while, but boxing is different. Boxing is this beautiful art of I punching in defense, and so it's limitless to this the sweet science they call it. It's that is much more of a sport, even though because there's a game to the punching. This is a fight. It's a high level fight. It's a fight against somebody who's really dangerous. But this is an effing fight, and you've got most of your tools at your disposal. There's rules, of course, but there's most of your tools are at your disposal. Elbows, knees, kicks, all these very dangerous attacks, chokes. And if there wasn't a referee in these cages, if we were really going full Hunger Games vibe, one person would just die every time. And the winner would be, when we see somebody get knocked out or when we see somebody get choked out, the, that would just end in the other guy being dead. Of course, we don't do that because it's still a sport, but this is a fight, man. And a lot of these guys go into it with the intensity of a serious, like this is life or death brawl. And for a lot of them, because the money is not so great, which has been heavily publicized, the money's not so great. It really is life or death. They need this money to feed their family. Now, not to mention, it's not just about the pay. I'll briefly talk on this and then I'll get back to the White House card. It's not just about the pay, it's about benefits too. Fighters are paid like independent contractors, and that's what's truly wrong about it. When UFC signs this giant Paramount deal for billions and billions of dollars, the fighters get nothing. When MLB signs a TV deal for billions of dollars, the fighters, through the bargaining of the Players Association, gets a portion of the revenue and the earnings there. The UFC doesn't have that. There's no Players Association. There's no Fighters Association. It's completely one fighter, one fight. They're all on base contract, like basic contracts. They have very little power, and they're like paid. They're paid like strippers, like independent contractors. I give you 10 grand to show up, 10 grand to win, and that's it. If you get injured during the fight, I'll cover that. If you come in injured, or if you get injured at any other time besides the fight, I will not cover it because you're an independent contractor. These are the real problems. If you want to get into the meat of it, they need healthcare benefits for their life. They need to just be actual employees of the company, not contractors. There's so many legal things that go differently with that. So that's just a brief. I would enjoy watching UFC a lot more personally if I felt that the fighters were well compensated and well taken care of. It's similar. I don't really feel a lot of guilt watching NFL football because although these children, so the men who play in the league were children who were pushed into this in some respects, and maybe they wanted it, but maybe they didn't understand the full ramifications, or maybe they did. At the very least, you could say a lot of them are making a lot of money, and there's still the potential to make a lot of money, and maybe even more after the game or more in the future, like of the NFL. So I feel more guilt watching UFC because I know there's dudes that I'll see on the beginning of a fight card that they'll get knocked the fuck out, make 10 grand, and get kicked out of the UFC and never hear from them again. And it was like, wow, you just got 10 grand for permanent brain damage and you have all these medical bills and shit. So you nearly lost money doing this shit, training to be a UFC fighter. There are dudes who lose money training to be a UFC fighter. And that is not just because they didn't make the UFC. There's dudes who make the UFC and still lose money. So, regardless, back to the UFC card. I love it. At the White House. I love it. It's delectable. I I cannot wait to sit there. Apparently it's on a Sunday, the Lord's Day. I think that's even hilarious. I'm just very excited to see who they bring out, who's fighting on the card. You never know. It's gonna be fun. I think that people should tune in. I think they will. I think it's like a car crash. You can't help it. What the hell? I think you might see on CNN that morning. Or earlier that way. Who knows? You might see on these major news networks that it's the fight's coming on, and I think that's hilarious. And it will be on Paramount, so they'll be happy. They're gonna make back their money on that $1 billion deal or however much it was very quickly. They know what they were doing. But the UFC now has a lot more money to not pay their fighters with, so that's really cool. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Dana White. I'm not a fan of the way the company is run in many different respects. And they always say, "Oh, if you don't like it, build your own fight organization and do it this way." Blah blah blah. Fuck that, bro. You know what you do is not right all the time. You know you abuse power over these guys. You know that you do bad stuff. And we're just gonna all pretend like, hey man, it's a sport. We do this. We love it. Yeah, whatever. All right. I think I'm done with that topic. The UFC. I'm excited for the White House card, but I'm over. I'm just getting irritated thinking about Dana White. Um. All right. Maybe we could talk about. Dude. Yeah, we'll talk about this. I don't know actually. I was gonna just so a while ago, I scheduled an appointment for a dietitian just because I wanted to like dial in my food intake with like strength training and all this. Um, and I booked under I booked it a while ago. I totally forgot about it, so I woke up out of bed and had to go do it really quickly, and it just didn't go well. But I booked specifically the name Renee Walker because I thought it would be a black woman, and I thought that that would be better. Like she'd have a lot more compassion for me. But then I get on there and it's a white woman with her hair dyed red, and she's just got like a I don't know a distant disposition. She just seems a little rude, and it just didn't go well. And she seemed to like not really be vibing with what I was trying to talk to her about, and I don't even know. I I just wanted to share this little anecdote because uh, I'm trying out here. I'm sure a lot of you guys are too, and it's just keep going. Some doctor's appointments aren't going to go well. Some training sessions you have to fail to succeed, and I just want it didn't go that bad. She gave me some useful information, but it definitely wasn't all that I was looking for. Uh, and yeah, I wanted to share that. Well, anyways, hit subscribe. I appreciate you. Love you. Come back next time. Bye.